that I sent them.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what I just put in that email thread. It's like,
Okay.
nope, live stream is for audience.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom is for the panelists.
Sounds good to me. All right.
I'll work on getting this screen for Android.
And then just go,
Oh,
and then
I have Android too.
maybe I'll do it on the Mac.
Second. Test, test, test. Audio test, audio test. Hello, hello, hello. Can you go in there? I'm going to test the output.
Okay. Cool. So if you have something to say or questions or whatever, just let me know. You can just say it. Okay? All right. Thanks. Bye bye. Hello? said he pulled down that one so that he doesn't have to break up the, what we're showing.
Will
Yeah.
they be able to see the video on this screen or no?
The Zoom, like the people
No.
from Zoom, or
No, the panelists, because they're facing away from this one.
yeah, everything on this screen will go on this screen.
Oh, okay.
The only time that won't be showing is whenever I pull up Zoom for questions or whoever needs to speak.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you know who? Do you know the names of people that couldn't
Yes,
make it?
I do.
Because
You
I'm
want
gonna.
their emails or just their name?
They're probably in the Zoom, but I have like 15 people in the Zoom right now.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to make sure that whoever is the panelist can unmute themselves.
Yes, it is Carlton, Carlton, and Kelly.
And Kelly. Is her last name Stacy?
No, no, it's Scott.
Scott. Thank you. Just make sure everyone's.
And Carlton Bradley.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
You okay?
No, I'm fine. It's been a long day.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Making them work.
Uh-oh. I am. That's what I'm here for.
My sister that's in California, she said they're doing rolling blackouts now. She said she's going to try to connect.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I just,
That state's going to fall off the face of the earth.
right? Her husband took a travel out there because they pay more. Them and Texas.
Good for him.
Yeah,
All right, you ready to start?
I guess so. I
Okay.
think that noise is people.
I think it's people joining
Yeah.
Zoom.
I think it's on.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. How's everyone doing? That's not very encouraging. How's everyone doing? Great. So I am Dr. Christina Cavender. I am a professor over at the College of Nursing and Health Professions.
Hello, everybody. I am Kathy Martin. I'm director of our Center for Experiential Learning at ConHP and a faculty member, assistant professor over there.
So how many of you are in the College of Nursing and Health Professions?
Awesome.
Great. How many are in arts and science? Good. Anybody from engineering? Okay, we'll talk about, oh, sorry, we won't talk about them. There's some in the back there. Anyone from business? Great, we have a mix, nice. All right, so today we have these lovely panelists, and we're going to introduce those in just a few minutes, but we are going to go ahead and get started here. So this is what we are talking about today, caregiving at the margins, equity, insurance, and the human cost of care. And we want to welcome all of you. Of course, we want to welcome our panelists, which we'll introduce in just a moment. So Dr. Martin Luther King said, "We are concerned about the constant use of federal funds to support this most notorious expression of segregation. Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in health is the most shocking and the most inhuman because of its often results in physical death. I see no alternative to direct action and creative nonviolence to raise the conscience of the nation. So how many of you live in the state of Indiana? Okay, and how many would say that they're very fluent in Medicaid and healthcare in the state of Indiana? All right, so you notice none of the panelists or myself raised our hand either because it's very convoluted. There's a lot to it. But I do want to share a little bit of information before we go into the panel and we watch this video. So first of all, the federal poverty level is $26,650 for a family of 3. That's incredible. That is extremely low. And I want that number to stick in your head because you're going to hear a number in the video. For an individual, it's $15,650. So what if 2 individuals get married? What happens? It's even lower, right? Because if you had 2 individuals, it's over $30,000 that you can make, whereas if you're a family of 3, it's even less than that. So Medicaid is the insurance provided by the state. Medicare is provided by the federal government, but that doesn't mean Medicaid isn't tied to the federal government. A lot of money comes into the state from the federal government to pay for Medicaid. I'm talking about Medicaid because I keep hearing where I work at a hospital, I keep hearing people say, people on Medicaid get anything they want. That is so far from the truth. That is so far from the truth. First of all, we think of Medicaid, people think those people aren't working, but they are working. 45% of people on Medicaid are working full-time. 27% work part-time. The largest percentage of Medicaid beneficiaries are children, 39%. Total spending for the year for Medicaid in the state of Indiana is $17 billion, a lot of money. So if we talk about nursing, of Indiana, there are 118,445 licensed nurses. 69% of those actually practice in the state. That's incredible. So a lot of you, how many are in the nursing program? So a lot of you, how many are going to stay in Indiana? Well, that speaks volumes right there, right? So everybody that just raised their hand, for those people then online, none of them raised their hand that they were staying in Indiana. So that's one of our problems. We educate more and more nurses, but they leave the state. They don't stay in Indiana. 8.9% of those nurses are advanced practice registered nurses, so just a small fraction. 9.2% leave the workforce or decrease their hours. That's their plan going forward. And that is a rise by 2.5%. So we have more nurses leaving the workforce. About half of nurses work in hospitals. So if we're looking at healthcare nationally, we have Medicaid patients, we have private insurance, and then we have the uninsured. If you have Medicaid or insurance, you visit a doctor. You go to your family doctor. Half of those uninsured do not. So there's an inequity right there. They don't have the means to see a family doctor. But look at how many delayed care because of funds. Uninsured, 28%. And where do they go if they need health care? Where do you think they go? If they're sick, where do they go? They don't have a family doctor, so where do they go? ER. They go to the ER, the emergency department. Physicians. Anyone in here planning on being a physician? Well, there's one problem right there. We need physicians in the state of Indiana. This is another issue. We train physicians, they go to medical school, and they leave the state. They leave the state. So for Indiana in 2024, the number of physicians was 32,898. Just to give you a rough estimate on how many they see, Indiana's population in the same year was 6.9 million people. 23% of those were under the age of 18. So you can imagine how sparse they are in the state. So if we look at primary care physicians, there's only 3,000 plus primary care physicians in the state of Indiana. That's 9.2% of the total number of physicians. Internal medicine, which also does primary care, 1,060. So a very small percentage. So what is that telling us? The vast majority are specialists. Does anyone know why they're specialists? Why there's so many more that are specialists? Any idea? Take a guess. Yeah. They get more money, right. They get better reimbursement for specialties. Pediatrics, there's only 764 pediatricians in the state of Indiana. We already said 23% of 7 million are children. OBGYN, 642. That is the lowest number of doctors in the state, or OBGYNs. And there's various reasons for that. I won't get into it because some of it's political, but there's very few. So in the state of Indiana, we do have OBGYN deserts, where people have to travel over an hour to have a baby or get their prenatal care. So we're going to watch this video called Caregiving. This is on PBS. We're watching this through WTTW, and it's going to talk about caregiving. How many in here are caregivers? All of you are. All of you are caregivers. We're all caregivers. We take care of ourselves, right? You might have a pet that you take care of. You might have a sibling. You might have a grandparent or parent that you help take care of. Everyone in here is a caregiver or will be a caregiver. So this is very, very important. Oops. Let me escape from here.
With the help of generous contributions from Otsuka, from Comfort Keepers, Care Scout, Cherish, and Care.com.
You know, Dad loves his jelly. My dad has been living with me for a little over 3 years now. He has Alzheimer's disease. And in April of 2023,
I'm sorry. We want to start at the beginning. Sorry. Yeah. Where's he at?
Like most people, I didn't even think about caregiving until my father was diagnosed with cancer. My dad was somebody who I idolized. I used to dress up like him when I was a kid in kindergarten and get made fun of because I wanted to wear like a suit and a tie. And then to go from that to giving him a bath is quite a traumatic thing. The only good thing about somebody who has an illness that's terminal is that you really can try to enjoy the moments that you have left. We went around Philadelphia. We went to a Phillies game. We sat in the dugout. So that was a really lovely thing to be able to do. He was at a point where he needed a lot of care. I was lucky enough that I was able to be there for him, and I certainly benefited from the help that we also got. I mean, these are heroic people that are caregivers, period. Their ability to focus and give all of themselves is something that I stand in awe of.
There are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who currently are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregiving.
This caregiving story was made possible with the support of these generous funders.
The king is here. Come on. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, I don't know what number I'm on now. 6, 7, 8. I'm a wife that's caring for my husband 24/7. Whoa, 16. Good job, man. Good job. We're going this way. Today is our 21st anniversary. You gonna dance with me? Mm-hmm. Dance with me. He was diagnosed with a neurological disorder. There is no cure. I cry, but never let him see me cry. Good job. I'm like, okay, girl, let's get it together. You ready to get shaved? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I'm doing total care, helping him to walk, cleaning him, bathing him. Thank God for your feet, right? You can walk. The entire process has been mentally draining, physically draining. One more. Yeah. To the point that I could no longer work. Okay, Kent. Insulin time. It took everything that we had left. My credit card debt went from maybe $2,000 to over $30,000. You ready? Mm-hmm. The journey's been tough, but it made me fall more in love with him. Lay back. Mm-hmm. I got you. Lay back. Even though he was disappearing, it's like our love was growing. Number 2, where we are now, is that he has deteriorated to the point that he needed hospice care. Finally, there was help. You can get lotion, razors, any type of continence supplies, as well as a home health aide that can come in and make it a little bit easier. But as of last Wednesday, I was told that he will be released from hospice. All of the assistance that was in place for him was going to be gone. You'll color a picture for me? The social worker said that he's not deteriorating fast enough. Color the bus. No, you can't eat that. You want to color the bus? Come on. I'm like, what? He's not getting better, he's getting worse. What's the problem?
Welcome to Medicare. Briefly tell me the reason for your call today.
I had some questions in reference to when you're released from hospice. What do you mean by that? Okay, so basically, it's based on how many days you have left, and if you're not dead by that time, then you got to come off.
Correct.
Now say that back to yourself and tell me how that sounds. I was told that because he's been on hospice a year and a half and he hasn't died, he doesn't qualify for a humane way to leave this world, a way that doesn't kill the caregiver. I'm gonna continue to fight for him. But without hospice help at all, I've got to figure that out by myself. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy.
Care is what makes us human. Care is the first and most fundamental human connection that we need from the time that we're born throughout our lives.
Care and caregiving is a source of pride, a source of sadness, and oftentimes joy.
So my dad is actually a medically retired Navy SEAL, and now he's like helping me just get stronger.
It's intense. It's the most intense work that somebody will ever do. Good job. And it's universal.
1, 2.
Do you think we look alike?
Mom, are you funny?
Care includes the work of cooking, cleaning, nursing, teaching, feeding. This care work is essential to the functioning of the American economy. So care is much more than just one issue among many. It is the foundational issue for contemporary American society.
I'm here caring for 2 sick people, which is definitely hard, harder than anything I've ever done in my life.
But everyone is burning out, whether it's the family member or the care worker.
I feel like every hope and dream that I've ever had has now been taken from me.
There's just this simmering crisis that has been playing out. The pandemic helped us to see all of that, to see that we do need a new approach to care in this country.
In April 2024, caregivers from across the country gathered in Washington, D.C. for their most high-profile ever rally.
My day started at 5 a.m. I prayed and then went over to the Union Station. I'm a home care provider from Los Angeles. I care for my daughter, Diamond Smith.
Caregivers and the work they do are generally invisible to the wider world.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Yep, 1, 2, 1, 1.
They had come together to celebrate one another and to press the federal government for recognition and support.
This is Caregiver Month. It made all of us feel like we're being seen and heard and we're not forgotten.
Así que están muy felices de estar aquí. ¡Viva las trabajadoras del hogar!
This rally was really about putting care work and caregivers at the top of the national agenda. We're going to be letting people know that their care stories are powerful and that their voices matter.
Good morning. Welcome to our Rally for Care. I am a proud caregiver raised by the care of loved ones and care workers. And I'm here today because I know in homes across this country, families are struggling to care for the people we love. For too long, we have been isolated, unsupported, undervalued. We are the caring majority in this country. And we won't wait for change. Care can't wait.
As America's population has been aging and the gig economy growing, calls from caregivers for policies that support them have increased in urgency.
What we have in the United States is a situation where every single day, 10,000 people turn 65. And because of advances in healthcare and technology, people are living longer than ever before. We've got none of the systems or policies in place to support a quality of life for that extended period. And on the other end of the generational spectrum, we've got millennials giving birth. 4 million babies are born every year in this country. And so across the generational spectrum, we need more care than we ever could have imagined or that we've ever designed for.
All right, Jerome, let me see this one. How do you feel about doing it in your hand?
And so we've also relied upon a caregiving workforce. Millions of vast majority women and majority women of color who work providing the care that makes everything else possible. The child care, the elder care, the attendance for people with disabilities, and they're underpaid. They don't have benefits. They don't have any kind of job security or health care. So the women that we're counting on to take care of us and our families can't take care of themselves or their own families in this profession.
Good morning, Sherry. How you feeling this morning? You good? Let me get your stuff together. I always say not everyone could do this job. It seems easy. Yeah, you take a test. 4-week training. But it's nothing like when you're in the home. It's never been easy. Let me pat dry your face. But with time, I found the love for what I do. And I've been doing it now for 23 years. Okay, let me get your fingers. Let's start with your fingers like we do. Good. Now you're flexible, mija. A lot of people rather be home, even if they have an illness, but they're home in their own comfort. Pretty toes. A lot of them don't have family. The holidays come, Mother's Day come, Father's Day come, a birthday come, and we're the one that are there for them.
Most caregivers in the United States are women, and for those who are direct care workers, principally women of color. And I honestly believe that one of the reasons why we haven't compensated them adequately, haven't paid them the respect that they absolutely deserve, is because of who they are.
All right, try it on me.
We need to look in the mirror, say to ourselves, think of the service that these people are providing.
Here you go.
The importance of the job. And let's please reimagine not only what they mean to us, but how we should treat them, how we should pay them, how we should respect them.
We're there to give them moral support, to let them know they're gonna be okay, that they're not alone. To see that smile in their face, that fills my heart. It could be me, it could be my mom, it could be anyone. And it's being selfless and having patience. We sacrifice a lot. When I go home, I have a whole family that I gotta tend to.
I met Conlea in 2010, and I knew she was the one. We knew we wanted to start a family. So after I proposed, we bought this fixer-upper house, and we've been fixing it up together. What are you doing?
Cleaning, first day cleaning.
We had our son in 2017. And then in 2020, our lives turned upside down. We were on the trampoline, she complained of a headache, so we went inside. I turned around, and she was in a very awkward position. She wasn't responsive. So called 911 right away. Ambulance came, they took Conlea. I couldn't leave, because I had to stay with Ty, which is pretty much the story throughout this struggle of my son needs me, and my wife needs me. She was 35, no medical issues, no family history. All of a sudden, she had 2 massive strokes. Her brain was permanently damaged. They scanned her body and they found a 10-centimeter mass in her abdomen, and it turned out to be ovarian cancer. And the ovarian cancer is what caused these strokes. And this all happened at the height of COVID. So I had to do everything myself, and all I had was Conlea. All she had was me. At that time, I didn't even know what a caregiver was. I always thought it was for old folks, your parents. And then I had to quit my job. I almost felt pushed out as a caregiver because they didn't know what to do with somebody in my position. They expected things to go back to normal. But for me, like, it's not going back to normal. Hey, what's going on TikTok? My name is Matt. I'm creating this video just because I'm trying to reach out for some help. So my wife, she's 35. She had a stroke back in May. I have a 3-year-old, and right now I'm the caretaker. I'm taking care of everything, and it's been really tough. There was nobody to turn to, and so what I did was turn to social media, doing everything I can to see my family through, and I'll get through this, but it'd be great to talk to somebody. So if anybody's ever been through anything like this, please reach out. I started to see it resonate.
Roll along, sing your song, paint the sky. Do your best, leave the rest. You don't need to ask why.
Started out a few hundred, and then it became 1,000, and then I started doing chemo dancing with Conlea. But it's a roller coaster, and not all just good times. The videos show happy sunshine and rainbows, but you know, it's not all the time. And then I started to post videos that were a little more truthful and not sugar-coated. This is my wife, like this is my partner in crime, you know, the mother to my child, you know, my soulmate, so it's been really tough. I had nothing to lose. I didn't care if people saw me scream or yell, or I just had to get it out there. I just feel like my family's been robbed of like just a normal life. It actually helped others out as well as helping me out. People were thankful for it. I read every single comment, and it was a spirit booster, a faith booster.
I just wanna see you shine wherever you go. I just wanna see you shine. Go on in the world and set me aside. I just wanna see you shine.
It's good to know that you're not alone.
Yes. We know the numbers of caregivers are multiplying, and the challenge for all of us in the United States is, how do we deal with it? Are we ignoring something that's going to affect not only every one of our lives, but our businesses, our communities, our schools, our hospitals? How do we measure the success of America? Is it just GDP? One of the ways is our success in providing care. If we are a caring society, caring for our children, caring for our older adults, we end up with a country that's happier. It's a country where more people have the ability to work and work well. In the next version of America, could care be a driver of our success and how we feel about ourselves?
I'm going to go ahead and stop it there because we have our lovely panelists here. I did notice while this was playing, there was a few people on their phone, and I was like trying to think of myself, why? Why would you be on your phone when we're talking about this? And part of me is like, are you afraid of this? Because it is scary, right? It's scary. Because we're all going to someday, God willing, be old. Or we're going to be incapacitated at some point in our life that we'll be counting on other people. So, first of all, I think very moving. I invite you to watch the whole thing. It's an hour and a half, very, very good. But right now we're going to meet real life caregivers. I'm going to introduce my friends, and then I'm going to have Professor Martin introduce hers. So first of all, we're going to get to our questions here so that we can kind of talk about what's going on. We're talking about the heart of caregiving. So tell us a bit about how you're a caregiver. So this is, I'm going to grab a microphone here. Hello. So this is Brittany Long. Brittany Long is a nurse. I've worked with her, I don't know how many years, a few, long time. And I'm going to have her talk about not only being a nurse, but she's also a caregiver to her son.
Hi, thank you all for coming today. Like she said, I'm a nurse. I worked for a long time with adults. Now I work in the NICU. I have a 10-year-old son who was diagnosed with ATRX when he was 1. It is a rare genetic disorder that causes developmental and intellectual delays. So with that, he also has epilepsy and autism. So we've really just had everything thrown at us. And every day is a challenge. He's dependent on us for all things except for walking. He can do that on his own, but he is nonverbal. He can do some oral feeds, but we mostly feed him. He's not potty trained, so we do all of his changings. We help dress him. So every part or every aspect of his life is based on us. So we've been dealing with that for 10 and a half years. We have a 12-year-old son who is neurotypical and has no disabilities, and it's fun to see how he reacts as a brother. I think that it has really helped show just how compassionate someone can be when they're in that sort of situation, and he is just such an advocate for his brother and such a caregiver at his age. I really just can't explain how much it fills my heart to see. So
thank you so much. And I just want to share, not only is she an incredible mom, but her son wanted to be in Boy Scouts, but the Boy Scouts did not allow him. So Brittany created her own Boy Scout troop so he could be in Boy Scouts. Isn't that amazing? Let's give her a hand. All right, so my other friend, I'm not skipping this beautiful lady, but my other friend is right here. This is Kim Day. She's also a nurse. We've worked together for 30-some years. Yes, we started when we were 6. She might have been 7, I don't know. But we worked forever in the NICU, night shift, 12 hours. We somehow got through that. We're still alive. But she also has a family. single mom, 3 kids, also has grandkids she helps take care of, her sister she helps take care of, and then she has her own health road to go. So you want to introduce yourself and just explain what you've been through.
Hi, my name's Kim. I was a NICU nurse for 27 years before I had to go on disability for my own health issues, heart problems, lupus, and it just continued. I'm also the mother of 3 kids. They're all grown now. Grandkids, helping with my daughter who has had some issues with, I don't know, I guess kind of homelessness, but right now she's living with me. And I have a great-granddaughter, 3-year-old, that I help take care of. Also in my house was my sister, who we've had to recently put in a nursing home because she can't stand on her own and needs to assist, 2 people to assist her to the bathroom and all that care, and I can't lift. My daughter is a CNA. She was living with me, who did it what she could, but she works 12-hour night shifts and couldn't always be there. We've had problems with her, with my sister, before she got put in a nursing home, with falls and trying to get her up. Had to have ambulances come several times to be able to get her up and stuff. So it's been ongoing, like I said, between all that stuff plus my own health issues. My sisters do what they can, but they work. One lives in out in Maryland. The other one works 3 jobs, and she's in healthcare also. But we all kind of try and share the load what we can. My oldest sister, who lives in Maryland, has been handling all the insurance and the bills and all the business side of things, while I've done the other stuff with making sure she has what she needs in the nursing home and stuff. So, hasn't been easy.
She's amazing too, isn't she? Let's give her a hand.
My friend here is my sister, actually. She's our oldest sister. And I say that, not to age you, but because she is really our advocate for our family. When we talk about caregiving, her name came to mind because my sister will drop at nothing to take care of not just her own children, but all of us, all 8 of us, or 7 of her siblings, and she always has. I'm making her cry, It's the truth. I don't say that just because I'm so thankful you're here. I say it because it's the truth. We depend on her endlessly, and she does everything she can to help us. And one of the things that she does is help her son, who has MS, and his children, his wife. She does everything she can to make sure they have what they need. Go ahead and talk about it, Kim.
Okay, I didn't expect that. I'm Kimberly as well. I am a mother of 2 adult children. My oldest, as Kathy says, has MS, and he was diagnosed at 19 when he was in college. And I don't directly care for him. His wife does. But he's awesome, she's awesome, my family's awesome. And caregiving is important, and I didn't expect to be up here crying on a regular Monday. Okay, wow. Next time I'm going to say no.
Well, I'll save you. So I'll kind of speak to that at that point. Yeah.
Oh, that's my son.
So yeah, I'm Carlton Bradley, and I also have a few things to say about caregiving because I was diagnosed with MS years ago at this point, and it's been a journey with initially being diagnosed and being young. You don't understand exactly what a disease like that will do to your life and how it'll change your life. But over the years, I started to learn what that would be. And I learned that it did take a toll on not just me, but my wife as well. Her being my wife, and of course, primary person that I depend on to help me in different situations. She's become the caregiver for me because it's become a daily thing where I need help with even the mundane things of just getting dressed and getting around the house. Uh, and getting to work. I actually work from home now, and I need help doing those things. So it's a really important thing to understand that people that provide care for others, they can be people that you don't really realize that are nurses or anybody. They could be just normal people that don't understand what it would take, but they also have to learn what it takes to provide care for somebody that may have a disability or just may have some other issues going on. It's good that you guys are actually involved in something like this because I'm glad to see people outside of myself and my wife. Also, there's a large group of nurses and people that are concerned about this and trying to see if there's ways to help those outside of just healthcare because there's a lot of things that are lacking in healthcare. There's different medicines and things that I don't get because of lack of availability, costs, and things. It would be great to see that the government and different programs like Medicaid and things would provide assistance, not just with medical assistance, but also care to support the caregiver so that they could, like, say, take more time from work or have other resources to provide both of us. So it's great to have this type of discussion from you guys and this concern from you guys. But yeah, that's kind of the basically what I wanted to say. So.
So I'm going to ask the students now, do you recognize now that everyone are caregivers sometime in their life? So we're going to ask, are you a caregiver? Anyone? Raise your hand if you're a caregiver. We have a few more now. Good, good. Would any of you like to share any experiences you've had with caregiving? They're all so shy. Don't be shy.
So I work as a CNA at a nursing home. And
It's okay, we all cry.
it is probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever worked. It's mentally straining, it's physically straining. But at the end of the day, when you get those lovely conversations with those people and you get to sit with them and talk with them, it just makes it all worth it. So I hope to bring this all with me as I am continuing my career to become a nurse, and I am grateful for every opportunity that I have gotten. Thank you.
Did you guys recognize on the video the pay for caregivers? Did you not notice that? It was like 23,000. What was the poverty level? 26. So they make under the poverty level for caregiving. All right, we're going to talk now about equity and access. So how do equities, racial, economic, geographic, have you experienced in caregiving access or support? So what barriers, and we're going to ask our panelists, and we're going to ask the students the same thing. What barriers to care have you experienced? Anyone can answer.
I would say that I'm going to go from a perspective of I'm an educator by trade, and I worked in a school district that is more urban, and a lot of our students would not be able to get care unless we connected with agencies outside of sometimes of the school district, or I saw the bus, and that agency often supported our students with like dental care or immunizations when their parents may not have the opportunities to do that for them. And so we provided that for those students. And then even in our own journey, there were times when the doctor prescribed different medicines for my son, and the insurance said, we want to wait, or not quite yet. And we didn't understand the fact that if a medical professional says that he needs X, Y, and Z, why the insurance side or the money side was a prevention to getting that care. So.
Thank you. This is on. So one of the things that we've noticed is we live here in Valpo, and my son does most of his care up at Lurie's. He has Indiana Medicaid, and Lurie's does not accept Indiana Medicaid. So luckily we have my husband's work insurance as well, but that would be like one of the things that I could point out economically is it's not covered. And so the closest place we could go would be Riley's, and that's 3.5 hours down the road. So just things like that to think of, or how it's not equal, and it just makes everything so much harder.
Do you want to share about the Shirley Ryan?
Oh, sure. So my son just had surgery the week before Christmas, and they cut a bunch of tendons and lengthened a bunch of tendons in both calves and feet. So because of that, he needs to go to Shirley Ryan. It's a rehab center in Chicago where they're essentially going to help him relearn how to walk appropriately. And we've been waiting for our bed now for weeks because it's something that you have to have your doctor write the referral, and then the referral has to get read, and then they have to do an eval, so we went for that. And then they have to send the eval to insurance, and insurance has to approve that because, like you said, we can't just say the doctor says we need this. So we're currently in that phase, and then once they approve it or don't approve it, we'll figure out what our next steps are. But once they do approve it, we actually have to go back to Shirley Ryan for a different eval, because the eval that we had was just to get our approval, not the actual plan of care. So it's always like 37 steps backwards to go one forward.
Hi, everyone. Interesting, I'm here. Actually, I was voluntold to be here. I'm actually the husband of Professor Martin here. But when I look at the board and see all that's happening here and her journey here at Valpo and the good work that's being done in that program, this was an eye-opener for me as well. But when I look at this chart up here, and for example, with the younger generation, when I look at this and, for example, I'm driving down, Indianapolis and Monster, or Valpo, or maybe even Maryville, some of the other communities, and there's medical facility after medical facility after medical facility. I'm like, all these facilities going up, so why is it so difficult to get care? Right? You mentioned you have insurance. There's people that have insurance. What's the disconnect? I don't know if the younger generation is tapped into this and sees this or even affected by it, but where's the disconnect?
Hi everyone, my name is Ines. I'm actually in the nursing program. I'm actually from California. So I used to work at a rehab place. I was a rehab counselor. And a lot of these individuals were very highly addicted to narcotics. And most of them came from a background of being unhoused. And I got the privilege to get to see them in recovery, as opposed to their family. They never got that gift to be able to see them at their best. So one of the hardest things with those individuals was helping them find a home. And what was very weird was that in California, right, they're always talking about how there should be more programs for people who are unhoused, who need more help. But then, just as some of the speakers have mentioned, it's really hard to get help from the government. So when I would meet with these clients, I would sit down with them and try to make a plan so when they finish the program, they would be okay, right? But I had to find loopholes just to find a bed for them. I didn't know this, but the first time around, I tried putting them on the wait list, just the wait list. They asked specific questions about them, and then one of them were like, "Oh, are they homeless?" But they were in program, right? So what was I supposed to say? It's not like a permanent housing, but I know if they left the program, they were going to be homeless. So I was like, well, this is the situation. They are going to be unhoused the moment they leave this program, but right now they're living here. So they're like, oh, so they're not currently homeless. And I was like, no. Well, unfortunately, we can't put them on the waiting list. But I was like, that's what I'm trying to prevent from them going back to being homeless, where they're more at risk to get, drugs and needles and all that kind of stuff. So then I talked to the social worker, and she was like, unfortunately, Ines, you have to find loopholes. And I was like, well, isn't this why all these programs are here for? We're supposed to try and help them. People are saying, oh, like, it's so easy, just go get help. But it's like, it's so hard. I literally got to see how hard it was. So I had to call them again, and I had to specifically tell them, oh, so they're homeless, but they're currently in transition. And it wasn't until then I could even consider them to put them in the waiting list, because they make all these things really hard. And also with the stigma behind them being addicted to drugs, it also gives all these programs like this stereotype, oh, they're gonna come in and sneak in drugs. But honestly, a lot of these individuals, they come from trauma. They share that they were raped, they were in foster care. A lot of these things is what led them to take these drugs to numb it. And a lot of people have a really hard time to understand that, because they think it's really easy to stop with taking drugs, but it's like telling somebody, hey, stop eating chips and junk food. It's not that easy, but it's really sad to see how this country is, how, yes, there's help, but it's really hard to get that help for people that need it.
Thank you. I would just like to ask you guys this second part of the question here. What can healthcare institutions do to build trust into care delivery? To answer the question of, there are many doctors' offices around, you see facilities everywhere, but what can we do as either healthcare workers or just concerned citizens to build trust into care delivery? Anybody want to answer that or have a suggestion? Any of the panelists have something to add to that? Oh, Carlton does.
I think I would have something to add to that, because one of the issues I would have is getting to the doctor, because I don't drive, or I don't uh, have mobility that I used to. So it would be great to have more of the options for video calls and video access to doctors. Um, that would be one help, because say I can't get to a neurologist or my primary doctor, but I still have issues that I need someone to diagnose and kind of work through. If there was more uh, availability in that way, it would be great.
I just want to share a couple years ago, I went to the State House in Indianapolis. My son was going to be down there, so I actually sat in on the House, and they were talking about telehealth and should they have that in the state of Indiana. And again, you just saw the numbers of providers in the state of Indiana, and they were talking about mental health providers, which we also are severely lacking in the state. And so telehealth would help those rural areas where they don't have those providers. And one of the representatives got up and said, no, we should not have this. This is basically people getting drugs online. And I'm telling you, I was in the balcony, I almost crawled over the edge of the balcony and said, that is not at all what telehealth is. But that's what people's minds are, right? That somehow people are going to get things that they shouldn't have. And my answer to him is, then what's the alternative? They don't have a provider. There's none around them. They can't get to a provider. And now you have this false sense like they're going to be now opiate addicts because they'll use telehealth. So one thing I think we can do is change people's thought process on what healthcare is, how it should be equal. And if you don't, you think, well, in the hospital, and I don't know, I'll talk to some of these nurses here. When I was in nursing school, we learned this happens to your patient, you do this. This happens to your patient, you do this. And so when you're out of nursing school, you're like, I think I can do, I know what I'm doing, I think I can do this. Everybody's treated fairly. And they can tell you they're not treated fairly. Just recently, when I was in the hospital, one of the mothers, single mom, has 4 children. The nurses, she had a spinal headache from her epidural. And she said, I will have to get home to my other kids. I need to go home with some Norco or narcotics. And the nurses were like, no, she doesn't need them. Now, I know for a fact there are other people, married couples, no other children, that got Norco when they went home. So there are inequities in the healthcare system. And I'll defer to Brittany here to tell us about all these shortages of things in the hospital that we are now stockpiling so we don't go through shortages. And one of them I remember was epinephrine. I'm like, how can you run a hospital without epinephrine? How can you run a code without epinephrine? Do you want to share any of that with them?
I mean, part of the issue is that I would like to say that the items are just not available, but sometimes I feel like it's because the healthcare institutions don't want to pay for them. So we get really good at learning how to manage situations with other medications or other inventory than what we should be using. And that's a daily thing for us in the hospital. And we spend a lot of our time trying to figure out, okay, we're out of this blood filter. How are we gonna filter the blood to give it to this patient? So I think if we had all of the equipment that we needed without having to fight for it or stockpile it or hide it, because we do that so other floors don't take it from us, we would build more trust and fairness in our delivery of the care. And also, I feel like they would have more confidence in us because we spend a lot of our time being like, well, we're out of this. Oh, well, we'll do that next time, I guess. So it's a lot. We advocate for our patients as best as we can, but we can't hand pick out the items and go get them and bring them to the hospital. So we can only do what we can do.
So as future healthcare providers, what do you think about that? What do you think you can change in the healthcare industry to make sure we don't go through this? Because do you want to be the patient that we tell, I hope you don't code today because we don't have epinephrine? So what do you think can be done?
I would say probably protests. I know there's a lot right now in New York. I think like if all the nurses like show like, hey, we need this, we need this. Nurses are like the backbones, especially CNAs. Oh my God. I'm a CNA, but I don't work as a CNA, and I probably should. But I know I have a lot of friends. Like, I was in last year. I was in like a career center for CNAs, and I did a lot of clinicals there. And I was in like the nice like nursing homes, and nobody talks about like the bad nursing homes, the like underfunded nursing homes. And like I think if all like the CNAs and all of the nurses speak up, and say, hey, you can't do this without us, that does something, especially like now in New York with the protests. I think that could really do something with the supplies and underpaid staff, and understaffing is really detrimental right now. Yeah.
That's a very good point. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? So how many of you saw, in the video, they talked about going to Washington, D.C., the caregivers. How many of you knew about that? So nobody knew about when that happened. So how do we get our voice out there so people know? Social media, right. Very good, very good. I'm glad you made them come. Exactly. And in the video, it gave a reason why they think we haven't done that in the past. And what was the reason? Well, who are the majority of caregivers in the United States?
Women.
Women?
And women of color.
Women of color. Very good. Economics and human costs of care. Right, so insurance, burden and valuation of caregiving. How do insurance systems, pay structures, and public policy reinforce inequity in your experience? So I think our panelists are very good with the problems with insurance. I think Brittany already talked a little bit about that. But what are the hidden costs for caregivers? Would any of our panelists like to address that?
I mean, as a caregiver for my son, he's 10 and a half, and he is small for his age, but physically it is so draining to constantly lift him and carry him, and he can sometimes be combative, so that hurts me, but it also is mentally like so, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. Like if you saw in the video the gentleman screaming in his car, if you've never had a moment like that, then you're not a long-term caregiver. There are moments where I just like hide in the bathroom to have a moment to myself, and that's how it is every single day. And that just constantly just nags at you and nags at you, and if you don't have the right support system in place or the time for yourself, whether you read your book or you go on a walk or you talk to your best friend or whatever, if you don't have those structures in place or someone to lean on, it's all gonna crumble. So it really does take a community to take care of someone with special needs or be a long-term caregiver. And I think that people who aren't in those situations just don't really understand, so.
I think Carlton had something to add.
Yeah, to that point. So I think with the added cost of medicines and going to the doctor, and those are the general things you would expect, having a disability or some type of medical issue. But outside of that, there's the mental aspect of depression and other things that will come up. And so those are things that government or different institutes don't really support. And that's something that would need to be developed, I think, for a lot of different people with different disabilities, because the mental aspect of what it takes to go day to day with something like this is difficult. Like she's saying, it's very difficult to have to get to that point of having to care for your son or daughter, whatever it may be, each day, day in, day out, where it seems like it's not a normal day or it's not a normal life. You know, I'm actually also on a community active advisory board for the University of Washington, and they're developing a uh, an app or a web access type of thing to help people with MS that have disability and have different pains that they will be able to access, go through the steps of answering questions and kind of working through exercises to help them through pain and depression to kind of alleviate that cost. And that's something that I'm working with them. But I wish more uh, hospitals or institutes did that exact same thing. Understand and saw that there's a greater cost than just paying for medical bills and things like that. There's other things that we can do to help people with disabilities. So,
Thank you. What about the students? What do you think you can do to provide care that lessens the burden of caregivers? And again, you know, like what I was saying, being in nursing school, you know, all the nursing students, how many of you have care plan books? No one? No, they don't do that anymore? Okay. So you will have care plan books. And in the care plan book, it will say, you know, have your patient do this, 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 this. And let's say, we'll take my mother, for example, because she's a prime example of this. So she had renal failure, heart disease, diabetes. And she never knew what she could eat because she had to have all these special diets. So she would go to a dietitian and she'd just tell him, well, I'm anemic. Well, that was related to her kidney failure. So they were like, well, eat this, this, and this. So she'd come home and she'd eat that. She'd eat the green leafy vegetables. Unfortunately, that's full of potassium that she can't have because of her renal issues. So she was like, I'll just eat what I want then. So every time she went in, they went over the diet with her. She never followed it. So does anyone know the term that we label somebody like that? Non-compliant, right? We label them non-compliant.
The worst word ever.
It is the worst word ever.
Yeah.
Because what have we not taken into account when we give this advice to patients?
Yes, go ahead.
Accessibility.
Access and ability, you said?
Very good, yes.
Yeah.
What else do we not give them? Education.
Sure.
Access. What else?
Coordination of care.
Coordination of care. Very good. We're not taking into account any personal choices here, right? We're saying this is what you should do. If you don't do it, you are non-compliant.
Right. Online, they're saying health literacy.
Health literacy, very good. Explain why they should be doing this. And what do we do? Maybe you don't know because you haven't really dealt with patients yet, but what do we do to patients who are non-compliant? When we see them coming in the door, what do we do? Oh, no, not them. Not them. They're coming back. They're not going to listen to anything I have to say. I don't even know why they come. Right?
Yeah. Just like to that point, it's a good idea for you all, future nurses, or whoever you want to be in healthcare, or just taking care of people. Think of your patient, the person you're caring for, as an iceberg. If you think of an iceberg, you see the tips at the top, but underneath there's a lot going on, you know, under the surface. And if you think of it that way, that'll help you understand what you need to get at to help your patient. There's more than what you see going on with your patient. So taking the time to just ask those important questions and get into what they need instead of what the algorithm says they're supposed to do, or whatever protocol the doctor has prescribed.
Yes, she used to have to go see her nephrologist every 3 months. Well, she told them right away when she first went there, I don't leave my house between December and February, so I'm not leaving until March. Exactly. Because she walked with a walker. She wasn't comfortable driving. She didn't want to get in a car with someone she didn't know. She didn't want to walk outside at all because she might slip and fall. She was afraid of that. And what would they do? Every single time they would schedule her in one of those months to come. And she's like, you can put it down. I'm not coming. I'm not coming. So that's not really working with her, right?
Right.
Do you have a comment?
I mean, in that situation, that would have been nice.
Hold your
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
In that situation, it would have been nice if the person scheduling it maybe took some time out to be like, okay, why don't you want to come? Or why can't you get here? And if it's because you're afraid you're gonna fall or you're not comfortable driving, maybe we can arrange a ride for you. So it's just like if that person took 2 extra seconds to help get to the, the core of the problem, or if they were like, okay, well, we'll do a telehealth instead during that month. It just takes a second to change your thinking. It happens a lot in nursing where you'll get report and someone will be like, oh man, this person's just a pain in the butt. They're not listening, blah, blah, blah. And so then you go into your whole shift thinking, well, they're not gonna listen to me, so I'm gonna do the bare minimum and get through it. And it's taken a really long time for me to change the way that I think when I go into those situations, to be like, well, I'm gonna be the one that changes that because they need this TLC, they need that extra help, we're gonna figure out what the issue is, and we're all gonna move forward, and it's gonna be a pleasant experience for everyone. So I think having the special needs child and understanding some of that role as the caregiver and the patient and all of the advocate, you just take 2 extra seconds to help understand their point of view, because your point of view is different than theirs. And you don't know their story, so.
Any comments from students? So what do you think you're gonna do when you start to provide care? How are you going to change? She has a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We just have to be patient and actually listen to what our patients need from us and want from us. I know that there's been many times that I have been very fast-paced and, just went in, did what I had to do, and got out. But those times that I do actually sit there and say, would you like a foot rub tonight? When was the last time someone put lotion on you? Or anything of that. When's the last time someone got you water? That's when you truly make those bonds. And when you truly get to know what's inside their brain and what's going on. When you get that level of trust with them. But you have to start it. They're not going to start it for you. So.
And I just want to recognize anyone who's a nurse assistant, you work hard. That is a very, very difficult job, and you're not recognized. We're going to give you a round of applause for anyone who's a nurse aide. So I worked as a nurse aide when I was in high school, and it's Thank you, Brittany, for putting it so succinctly. Yes, it sucks. It's very, very difficult. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next one, Hope, Policy, and Vision Forward. That's what we're here for. I picked out this picture because I typed in, vision forwardness of healthcare. And these were the type of pictures I got. Technology, new medicines, new types of treatments. But there was no human aspect on any of these pictures. It was all high tech, let's save everybody, but no real vision forward as far as caring.
So just, if I can interrupt 1 minute, to that point, Carlton has said the reliance on AI may take away from really understanding someone. And he said that I hope that nurses and doctors continue to try to humanize their patients rather than just solve them like a statistic. That's a good point as well.
So what sources of community strength sustain caregivers today, and what local and national policy shifts could ensure more equitable care? Any of the panelists? Oh, go ahead.
So I am in tech. I've been working in tech over 20-something years. And, I understand that arena. AI is one thing, but tech could be a big part of the solution. You talked about telehealth. So I think it's a matter of just raising the awareness. Like, until I came here, you don't put yourself in that category of a caregiver, but you are every day. And so I think if the awareness was raised that that's what it is, and spread that message across the generation. But from a technical standpoint, we definitely can use tech to help push that agenda forward. When you mentioned, or your mom couldn't make it out, if we had those resources or those technical resources to do the virtual appointments or the video call or something like that to solve that particular appointment, I think that's a good thing. So AI is one thing, but technology as a whole should be able to help caregivers. So.
All right, all students. Oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt someone?
Oh, I was just going to say, along with the technical thing, though, you also have to make sure that the patient can access it or has access to it and knows how to use it, because there are still people that can't do a FaceTime call or whatever. So, they need to have that. And definitely not so much AI, because you've taken the human aspect out of it, and you never want to do that. And kudos to the CNAs. My daughter and a granddaughter are CNAs, and as those who are in nursing, as you progress there, don't forget to support your CNAs, because they have, my daughter and granddaughter have said that sometimes the nurses kind of push more and more on the CNAs and just kind of sit. So don't forget.
Not only with computer technology, but also with robots. Like, I use Hoyers and the sit-to-stands and all of that. And if you're a CNA, when you try and roll that Hoyer around, it's almost impossible. You get it stuck on a cord, anything like that. And also with call lights, if there was something that you'd be able to give your resident something that would tell you exactly what they need. Because it could either be, oh, I need to be completely changed, or just, oh, can you just give me water? So then you push them to the side because you're like, I'm doing this right now. But if it was something like that, then you could be like, oh, cool, I can go get that real quick. Just things like that desperately need to be given to us, because I know that it would make my job a lot easier.
All right, where's my future nurses? Raise your hand. Don't be afraid of me. Don't be afraid. All right, we have somebody back here. Okay, so you've listened now for over an hour, so you're going to tell us what you plan on doing in the future to make healthcare more equitable.
Okay. So I don't know which type of nurse I want to be yet. I just want to go into clinicals, just see what I like, because I'm more of a hands-on learner anyways. But I'm also minoring in criminology, so I can also use that to do forensics. Yeah.
So how are you going to change what you do to make sure everyone gets the same care?
Kind of just speaking up and having a voice, and like explaining to like people like my opinion.
Are you going to be the leader in a professional group for nurses? Does anyone know for those nursing students what our lobbying body is? It's American Nurse Association. I don't want to put all the nurses here in the room on a spot, but are any of you members? Do you know why you're not a member? Why aren't you a member, Brittany? It's expensive. It's expensive. That's exactly why. It's expensive, yes. I'm a member because I feel like I should be, but it's expensive. And the dues for ANA are very similar to AMA for the Medical Association, American Medical Association, which also has their own lobbying group. And I don't know, but I'm guessing physicians make more than me. So they have more physicians in the AMA than we have nurses in the ANA. So all of you that are going to be nurses, I really, really encourage you to become a member of ANA. You know, I know it's a lot of money. I pay monthly, so it doesn't seem quite as bad. It's about $35 a month. But that is your voice. That's your voice in the U.S. government.
Jennifer Easthope would just like to thank everyone for sharing their stories, and she says bringing awareness is so important. Thank you very much, panelists, she would like to say. And Carlton is just reiterating the fact that AI and technology are different, because as new medicines are advancing, so is technology.
Mm-hmm. And technology is great, right? It's wonderful. And a lot of newer nurses go into those high-tech fields, ICU, the emergency department. They go into those fields because they like that. But remember, it's still a human being there. It's still a human. Any last questions, comments? So what are you going to change after spending an hour and a half with us? I hope something.
All right, we've got someone. Try to hurry up. Time's running out. It's on.
So like I'm a social work major, and we talk a lot about like patient like autonomy and them making like their own decisions. So I think the big thing is just taking a moment to like ask the patient questions, even just like working with people in general to learn more about what they want and understanding why they want the specific direction they want to go in.
Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? I used to teach peds nursing. And students, the number one thing they feared in peds nursing was what? What do you think?
Math.
Dealing with parents. They were always afraid of dealing with parents. And I love it when the parents are there because the parents know that child. So like if Brittany brought her son in, she would know everything about him. Do you want to share maybe one of the experiences you had in school? With his school or mm-hmm. With his school? That one? Well, you can, yeah, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
So as much as we are talking about healthcare, this all kind of correlates over to having a voice for him for school. He used to go to a special education school, and when he was there, he had his first seizure, and he almost died at the school. And I had asked them to call 911, and they didn't. And I was on my way, so I couldn't really assess the situation. And then when I got there, he looked awful. He was white as can be. He was hardly breathing. He was just laid out on the floor, which is what you're supposed to do, is get him in a safe position. But I again asked them to call 911, and they didn't. So I ended up just throwing him in my car because at that point it was faster for me to just drive him to the ER. And when we got there, he was coded. So that being said, like, I know my child better than anybody, and had they just listened to me, most of this would have been avoided, because he ended up being intubated, almost flown to Chicago, but the weather was too bad, so then we had to take an ambulance. He spent multiple days there intubated, and it was just a terrible experience had they just listened to me. But I think it's important to not be afraid of the parents, because when I got there, I told them that my son was not doing well, he needed to be examined. They almost shoved me off until they came out with the nurse, and the nurse was like, we need a bed now. And so we got him in the bed, and I stood there and I actually helped them. Like, I was helping pull out the things, I was standing right next to them when they intubated him, I could answer all of the questions. Like, we know how our children act on a daily basis, and I can tell you when anything is off. And it was actually nice when we went to the ER that they weren't afraid of me. They were like, please help, like, what do you think? And that was just nice, because I've spent 10 years of my life with him and they've spent 0. So just keep that in mind. Like, the parents can sometimes be abrasive or sometimes be in your face because they're advocating for their child who can't. And if you just involve them in the care, even in the NICU, some of the best times we've had when we have even parents who are scared. We're like, why don't you help us change the diaper today? And you could just see their whole demeanor change because you asked them to help care for their baby. So I think if you went about things in a, hey, can you tell me about your kid? Or can you help me understand what this means about them? Or whatever, it'll set the whole pace for their stay instead of being like butting heads. Yeah.
Good. Any questions? Anything you'd like to ask the panelists before we close? Well, I would love to thank our panelists. They've been fabulous. I appreciate them coming out. I think they deserve a standing ovation. They're amazing people, amazing. And I hope all of you take something away from this, so as you're going through school, that you know when you are healthcare providers or caregivers, so even all those engineering students in the back, caregivers, we all will be one at some time, take away some of this information and make sure that we have equal care for everyone. Thank you.
Shout out to the engineers.